Today is a pretty big day. I've been talking about this for probably almost a year at this point, and it's finally time to expand the city. The city, as you all know it, currently is mostly just downtown, and it has a train track going around the perimeter along with a beach out front with a lowered table, and it has a lot of other things on it as well. But it doesn't have everything that a city builder would dream of. And so in this video, we are going to be making a table in this open space here because, as you can see, the build table behind me where I do a lot of the reviews, the talking head videos, and a lot of my building, there's a big gap between that table and the city table. So I want to finally fill this gap here, and although it hasn't always been empty like this, let me take you guys along for the ride, and I'll show you guys a brief history of how I used to build Lego cities and how it's come and evolved over the last decade and where we're going to take it from here. So there is the original layout right there, and just for a refresher for you guys, it is 110 inches long by 95 inches wide. That's that original table that we started the channel with, and then this smaller table on the front here is 40 inches by 80 inches, and this is actually at a lower height when compared to the rest of the city, so then that way we can have the beach and all of that. Now, over here, where the expansion table is going to go, most of this table is going to be at that original height, and then we're going to have a sliver at the end that's going to be at the lower height, so then that way we can have a continuous scene there, and I think it's going to look cohesive. And then most of the table here is going to be Lego City, or not downtown city, but more of a continuation of it where we can fit things that necessarily wouldn't fit on that table. So this is going to be pretty cool. And all of this stuff here is pretty much what's left. I have been sorting everything on this table and also underneath the table for a lot of time behind the scenes. And so in between videos and clips and things like that, I've been working on this. And these components here necessarily don't have a proper home, but it's mostly just 16 by 16 plates, base plates, raised base plates, and then a couple of models. So I'm not super worried about it. Once we get this table built, then we'll find an actual home for these either on the table or underneath it. So not worried about that, but there is quite a bit of work to do in this video. So we are just going to get started by taking apart this table here, and then we can build the new table. And along the way, I'll give you guys a little bit of history as to the previous city layouts that I've made and how we've gotten to this point. So before I took everything completely out of the frame here, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a history, because before I had this table and before I even had the table before this, I was using this here as my city. And so, like I've said in this video already, this is made pretty much how we're going to be doing this next table here, which is a piece of wood on the top and then IKEA table legs underneath. And then that way you get a nice even flat surface. And if you buy the preset legs that come in one size, the entire table is going to be at the same height, or you can buy the adjustable legs like I did here to lower the height, or you can raise it up. So that worked out great. The table before this was actually a pair of lifestyle tables, which suck. I would not recommend building a city on them. You could get away with using one of them, but the moment you put two of them next to each other, they don't work. They are warped. They don't really connect well to each other, and the sides of them are kind of sloped and curved. So it just doesn't work that great. So it's not ideal. I would not recommend that for city building, but that's what I had my city on for a while. And obviously it was a lot smaller than this, so it was possible. But before I had those lifestyle tables, I actually had it on this. No, I'm not talking about this piece of wood here. I'm talking about what's underneath the wood here. These are tables from IKEA. I can't for the life of me remember the name, and so if I find it on IKEA's website, I'll put it in the video here so you guys can see it. But this table here, I actually have 4 of them. And so this is actually what I used to have my city on probably like 10 years ago at this point. And granted, I only had 3 or 4 modular buildings 10 years ago, so they would all actually fit on 1 or 2 of these tables. But this is actually a great way to get started on a Lego city if you don't have the space to make a giant layout like that, or you're not really sure if that's something you want to commit to. This is a great way to start. You get one small table from IKEA. I want to say at least 10 years ago, this was, I want to say $20 for this size here. And if I'm not mistaken, it's about 2 feet by 4 feet there. I think that is about the size. It might be plus or minus a couple of inches. But again, if I can find it on IKEA's website and they still sell it, I'll give you guys the proper dimensions of it. And so this is what I made the city on way back in the day. And then eventually you get a couple other tables, and there are actually 4 of these in total. I just wanted to show you guys what this table looked like before I took the wood out, and then what this actually was. So then you guys had a little bit of an idea as to where this city came from. This did not come overnight. This was not something that I just whipped up in a day. A lot of this actually came from your feedback, and so it took a long time to get to this point. But I wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was interesting. And then this piece of wood here is going to get pushed off to the side. We're not going to worry about it in this video. I'm not actually using it for this table that we're making because this is actually a 1/2 inch thick. And the stuff that I use for the table here, the proper city now, is going to be 3/4 of an inch thick. So I get a little bit more rigidity with it, and it's a fair amount stronger, and you put bigger screws in it, obviously. So that works out better. And so with that, let me take all of this out. Now that I've given you guys a little history lesson about me, let me take this all out and we can get started on that table. Everything is now gone from this area here, and I even vacuumed as well because admittedly I haven't done that under this table in a little while. So now is the time for the fun part. We get to start building this new table. And so I'm going to take you guys along for this ride as well because I never properly explained how I built that original city table in the first place. So I figured we would start with the bigger of the 2 tables here. So this is going to be at the standard height, or I'll call it the standard height that the main city table is at. So then this way it'll just be a level surface from one table to the other. And then we're going to have a shorter table, which is going to mirror what the ocean was like. So it's going to be down lower. And we're going to worry about that one in just a second. But I want to start with the big one because it's the main table. So as you can see on my plan here that I drew out, I bought 2 4x8 sheets of wood here. And the first sheet got cut up into 3 main sections. And then the 2 big ones are going to be on the main city table here. And that's actually these 2 pieces right here. And then the third piece there we'll touch on in just a minute. And then the second sheet got cut up into pieces 3, 4, and 5 mainly. And as you can see, those are the 2 smaller pieces, which are right there. And then number 5 is this piece right here for the lower section where the water is going to be. And then these 2 small pieces, we're going to have to cut up and use those in order to help transition from that lower table to the upper one. So that is pretty much that for the plan here. And I did also make a Lego model of this as well because the drawers that I'm using, the Sterilite ones, are going to be going on one end of this. This section right here is pretty much all going to be connected, and so it can be rotated, and the small pieces can be on the left or on the right. Doesn't really matter. And so I went through and I made a little Lego model of the table here and then the different pieces. And I tried moving the legs in on this end here just to see if it would, in theory, be structurally stable. And it was fine, but I decided to try it on the other side as well. So as you can see, this is my little measurement here. So this green segment right here would be one of these bigger pieces, which is 40 inches by 49. These sheets were actually 49 inches by 97, as opposed to the standard 48 by 96. I don't know why fiberboard and particle board is like that, but it means I just get an extra inch in either direction, which is great. So I get a little extra building space there. But this 40 by 49 inch piece got turned into an 8 by 10 Lego segment here. And then we have another one of them, and then a 5 by 8 and a 5 by 8 for the 25 by 40s. And then, so as you can see, I needed 15 inches of room for, or 14 and a half thereabout, for the drawers, and then the depth of the drawers, so about 3 studs in. And as you can see, I have the legs of the table 3.5 studs in. So this, in theory, would support the wood on the edge here without a problem. And I can put all the drawers under there with no issues. And then on this side here, I can also put drawers as well if I want to. Now, this is going to be a hassle to move. I don't mind having them all connected together like this. in theory, it would be better to have individual legs on all of these. So then if I need to move just one of them or whatever the case is, it is going to be very easy to move it that way. But I'm choosing to do it like this, where it's one big section up top and then one section on the lower end, just because I'm hardly ever going to move this. And if I ever do need to move it, it's probably just going to be better if I take the entire table apart and I take all the screws out, and then I can just disassemble everything and then move it in smaller sections. So that's just going to make my life a little bit easier for now, and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So I think this is going to be fine as is. So let me get started on that, and I will show you guys how the little Lego model fares against the real life version. So the main Lego city is over there, and the new table is done. A lot has happened since that last clip. I kind of just got in the zone and I got it done. And this little model here actually helped a lot, as you saw right at the start of the clip here. I have extra legs to spare, which is great. So this worked out good, and it also showed that I can fit all of my drawers under here, which is great too. So that works out great. This is not only connected by the brackets from the legs. There is also some pieces of scrap wood that I just screwed in to help connect everything together. And that is pretty much it. It's very simple in how it was constructed. I laid some extra pieces of wood down on the ground here, the smaller pieces from the other pieces of wood that we had cut. So the smaller ones, I laid it down on the ground, and then I put these on top of them, and then I screwed everything in, and everything is now all good to go. So this, like I said in the diagram here, in this little mini build, this is where the drawers are going to go. And then all of this extra space here can be storage, which honestly is great. I can put drawers here too, which is going to be awesome. So I can have probably 3 stacks of drawers, 1 there, 2 there. And then I can have a full row of drawers right here. And then we can have the shorter expansion table, or the shorter area where the ocean is. So this is working out great. This is looking great. I am super stoked on this. I think it looks awesome. And so now that this is done, I don't know in exactly where it's going to go in relation to the city this way. So it might have to move a couple inches that way or that way. But either way, it is standing now, and it's pretty sturdy, which is great to see. It hasn't fully sunk into the carpet because I just finished this a few minutes ago. So this is, I want to say it's about 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch higher than this table is. So that is not ideal, but this has so much Lego on it, and it's been sitting here for a couple years at this point. So this is just going to have to get the same treatment, I guess. So we're going to have to start building pretty soon, but I need to finish this first. So let me go through and add the legs onto this, and then we can go ahead and start to talk about the plan for the rest of this area. So now the lower table is done as well, and this is almost exactly the same height as this one. Again, this one is probably going to end up sinking into the carpet ever so slightly, so I'm not super worried about it. I just need to grab a level and make sure that it's level, and then I will pretty much be good to go. And I think it's going to end up about here, and then we're going to have this nice gap throughout here, and then this table might end up shifting a couple inches that way, because there were a couple of complications with this project. For one, it's a year late, but in all seriousness, this table here is the one that's actually causing some problems. So the table legs that I used on the original city, and this expansion table, and now this expansion table, have all been white. The standard legs have all been white, and then the adjustable legs that I got for this table here, I got in white when I had bought them, and then when I went to IKEA recently to get the legs for this project, they didn't have them in white, and I didn't feel like waiting, so I bought them in black. Now, it's not the end of the world, it's just table legs, and I'm probably going to end up putting a thing on it, a curtain on this anyways, so you're never going to see them. But that was unfortunate. I would have liked to have had everything be the same. And this table, I said in my diagram it was 20 inches long, but the actual size of this is 24 inches in width. And so those extra 4 inches, I was originally just going to have the extra 4 inches just under this. So this table would move over, so then 4 inches would pretty much just be non-existent. And then I would have 20 inches out here. And while I think that is definitely plausible, I do actually have the space now that I have the table in the room and I can kind of walk around it. I can actually walk around it as opposed to just kind of theorizing what it's going to be like. I can actually go through and see if I want to keep that extra 4 inches. And it's so close to 5 inches, which is a half base plate, that I might just make this a 2.5 base plate section, and then we can kind of take it from there. So that's something that I'm going to need your help with. If I should go through and make it 20 inches and shift this over, or if I should keep the extra 4 inches and make it a 2.5 base plate section down here. That could be pretty interesting. But also, I want to get your guys' feedback on the raised platforms throughout here. So in the original city layout, obviously we have the table at the regular height and then the expansion table at the lower height where the water is. But I have a bunch of raised platforms underneath all of this Lego here that helps continue this height all the way through, so it looks cohesive as opposed to everything just ending in a straight line here. It comes out and it drops down at different levels here and different angles. So I really like that, and I want to do the same for this table, but I don't know how much of that I should do. If I should add an extra 10 inches or 15, if I'm going to have those extra 4 inches down there. If I should bring this out an extra 15 inches, or if I should bring it out 10, 5, or if I should do none and just have little tiny areas like this rock work here that kind of come out a little bit. You guys are going to have to let me know what you want to see on this table, because my tentative plans are to have the residential area, a nice little residential area. I want to have some more train track. I know we have quite a bit of it over here, but at its core, it's really just one loop and then this siding right here. So that's not enough. I have a lot of trains, as I'm sure you guys are aware at this point. So I want to go through and I want to have at least 2 sidings. I would love to have like 4 or 5, but at least 2 sidings here that are usable, not just some tiny thing like this here. I want to have actual reasonable sidings that I can fit whole trains on. And so I want that for this table here. I said the residential area. I would love to have a farm as well. I think that could be pretty cool. And there are a number of other things as well. So if there's anything else that you want me to add to this table, drop your comments down below to let me know what you think of that. And one question that I'm sure I'm going to get about this table is, why didn't I just expand right from here as opposed to having this gap here? Why didn't I just continue the table straight through? And that's a great question. I'm just going to go ahead and answer that right now because I can already foresee some people are going to be curious about that. I want to be able to walk through here. If I want to get to the Ferris wheel, I don't want to have to walk all the way around the city this way or all the way around the city that way. And plus, this means that I can walk into here and I can access this. If I had a continuous table throughout here, there would be no chance that I could access any part of this plaza here and also the modulars behind and stuff like that. So this walkthrough is necessary for me so I can access everything here and I can access everything there. The total area of this table now is 80 inches this way in length and 75 inches in width. And then this one down here was originally going to be the 20 by 75, but now it's actually 24 by 75. So this right here, 75 inches, is right at that cusp of what the maximum length of my arm is that I can reach. And so since I build these tables at the standardized IKEA leg height, sits right around my hip height. So I can hinge at my hip and I can reach all the way down. And so this piece of wood, like I talked about earlier, is 40 inches and I can reach almost all the way. And if I'm not filming with my other hand, I can actually reach an extra inch or 2. And then same thing goes from the other side. So I can access every single point on this table. So that's why this area is necessary, so I can access everything and I can also just have ease of use in my area here. And I want to be able to see everything as well. I don't want to just stand out here and admire everything. I want to actually be able to get close and look at everything and show you guys all of these close-up details too. So that was just one thing that I'm sure was going to come up in the comments, so I figured I would just answer it right away. And so with that, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a crazy 2 years of making Lego videos. This has been a dream for me. I started this channel on March 29th, 2024, and we started with just that rectangle right there. I say just, but it is pretty big. And we started with this, and then we expanded out to here. And now 2 years later, we are expanding yet again over to here. So this is really cool. I am really excited about this. There are a plethora of new videos that I have planned, namely a sorting system update, because it's been a long time since I've talked about that. And so I have a number of things that I want to share with you guys. I also have to fill this table now because it's empty and we can't have that. You know, this looks so great and this does not. So we have quite a bit of work to do with that and so much more. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more, as well as turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss out on any future uploads, like everything that I just talked about. And I can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now.